Am I the a-hole for moving out when my stepsister ruined my Father's Day gift for my dad? I, female 16, live with my mom, stepdad, and stepsister 18, and stepbrother 20. I lost my dad to cancer when I was 13 years old. We were very close, and his death was a major loss in my life. I wasn't able to keep much of his belongings because of my stepdad's insecurities and lack of sympathy and respect for me and my dad. It's sad to say that Mom moved on relatively fast. My stepsister and I share a room together. My stepbrother has a bigger room because he's the man, and as a result, me and my stepsister are always in conflict. She wants me out during the day as she uses the room as her art studio. She recently accused me of stealing her tools and convinced her dad to get a lock. So now I'm being forcefully locked out and can't get in till after a huge argument and getting Mom involved. My stepsister had an argument with her brother and ruined his gaming console when he was out. He came into the room quietly in the evening, stood by the door and asked me to bring him my stepsister's acrylic paint set. I asked if he got permission. He said yes, so I gave it to him and went back to study. At dinner, my stepsister came downstairs, yelling that her brother had access to her room and ruined her paint set. There was a lot of yelling and arguing. Stepdad asked how my stepbrother walked into the room when it was supposed to be locked. My stepbrother admitted I helped him out and brought the paint set to him. My stepsister went off on me, called me an accomplice, then ran upstairs and took the gift I prepared for my dad for Father's Day. I picked up flowers I planted from our small garden that I take care of by myself and prepared a nice wooden letter-shaped pot. Used my dad's first initial and filled it with the flowers I picked and decorated it with ribbons. It wasn't that good, but it was like a floral letter. I planned to visit his grave and put the gift there, but she damaged it to pieces. It was completely ruined. I yelled at her and kept crying. Mom and stepdad gave her harsh punishment and thought it was fixable, but I was so done. I called my uncle who came and berated my mom and stepdad. Stepdad offered to fix it and punish his stepdaughter harder, but I packed my things to go with my uncle. My mom begged me to stay, but I refused and didn't respond when she kept calling, saying she did nothing to deserve to be shunned by me and my uncle, who told the family about what happened. The family told Mom not to come visit on Father's Day and are angry with her because I moved out over this. Am I the a-hole? Now for the top comments. Not the a-hole. Your mom failed you. She failed to take your feelings into account after your dad died. Failed to stand up to her husband when he failed to respect you and your dad. Failed to protect you from his daughter and her unreasonable demands. The only thing both of them did right was punishing your stepsister for destroying the Father's Day gift you made. That isn't enough to make up for all of the other crap. If you stayed, I think your stepsister would have found some way to punish you for her getting in trouble for destroying the gift you made. Stay away if you can. Yes, your mother deserves to be in trouble with the rest of the family for everything that has happened to you. Agree with one small modification. For everything that has happened to you. For allowing everything that has happened to you. Not the a-hole. She has done nothing to deserve to be shunned by me. Except ignore OP. Allow stepsister to abuse OP. Allow stepdad to be sexist to both of them. Stepbrother gets the bigger room because he's a man? WTF. Disregarded OP's feelings at every turn and allowed stepdad to get rid of her father's things she wanted to keep. She's right. She has done nothing, absolutely nothing she should have done to avoid this outcome, which surely would have come the day OP turned 18 anyway. Not the a-hole. Being locked out of your own room is unacceptable. While your stepfamily's awful, it's your mom who is the real a-hole. She should be advocating and standing up for you. Being locked out and not getting to keep your dad's stuff is completely on her. I'm sure she had no problem spending or getting your stepdad to agree to keep any stepsister benefit she gets for you, for your dad having passed away. I'm still trying to wrap my head around any sane mother who would allow their daughter to be locked out of their bedroom for any length of time. I've heard of removing the door or lock, still not cool, but locking them out? Wow, not the a-hole. Not the a-hole. I'm so sorry that you lost your dad, and I'm sorry that you have an insensitive mom. If you can stay with your uncle, I would. Your mom has not considered your feelings regarding your father, and the fact that she does nothing about how your stepfather and stepsister treat you is truly awful. Keep your distance. Now for the next story. Am I the a-hole for walking out after I opened the gift my stepson brought me for Father's Day? I, male 37, have two stepkids, Gina 11 and Brian 16. My stepdaughter is the apple of my eye. I love her to pieces. But my stepson has a difficult personality. Never does anything with us. Never lets me help him with anything and keeps his distance from me. He also never tells me about his problems or achievements, and it's been difficult trying to establish a good bond with him like my stepdaughter. My wife says that's his nature, so I should stop pressuring him. Till he recently started spending time with me, but every time he'd pull a nasty prank. Like replace my shampoo, or ruin my credit card, or ruin my tires/rear lights. This caused a rift between us, especially since my wife says those are pranks. But I was worried for my safety and got paranoid from getting in the car or going to the supermarket with a ruined credit card. So I kept my distance. Father's Day, I took my wife and my stepson and stepdaughter to her parents' house for breakfast. I received a beautiful gift from my stepdaughter and didn't expect my stepson to get me anything as always. But he did bring me a gift. It looked like a nice gift in a box and was beautifully wrapped and introduced. I was so excited and happy because all I was thinking of was not the gift itself, but the fact my stepson is finally letting me be part of his life and remembering me on Father's Day, so it meant the world to me. That was already my gift, but I couldn't wait to open it and show him my appreciation and gratitude. Well, I opened the box and saw a stinky old sock of mine that I've lost a couple of months ago placed inside. The look in my face said it all. My stepson encouraged me to show everybody what he's got me. I didn't want to, but my father-in-law took the box and pulled out the sock. He looked confused, and my stepson started laughing hysterically. So did others. It was an absolute horrible moment. I wish I could just jump out the window and run away from embarrassment. I just got up and walked out the room silently while my stepson was laughing behind. My wife came to tell me that I overreacted massively and my stepson was just messing with me, meaning it was a prank. But he embarrassed me in front of the entire family. And frankly, I don't give a crap about the gift. But what he did felt so humiliating I almost cried. He had just said that I shouldn't have walked out like that and made it awkward, since I'm the adult and should have handled this better. I left my in-laws' house and my wife and kids are still there. My wife is upset that I left and wanted to get some time alone and a good cry, and remember my dad and try to keep my mind off what happened earlier. Am I the a-hole for this? Not the a-hole. At first, I was thinking he was being 16, but the more I read, I'm horrified. And your wife is enabling this by taking his side constantly and allowing it to go unpunished. The kid needs therapy. These are not pranks, and you shouldn't have to put up with this. Your wife needs to change the way she handled him, or I would be out the door. Not the a-hole. What prank involves damaging credit cards and cars? She needs a reality check. Seriously, Opie, your stepson is either a sociopath or a major a-hole. Your wife is an enabler. And honestly, I don't think I'd put up with this poor treatment, stepson or not. I think it's harmful to diagnose people over the internet, especially with stuff as misunderstood as cluster B disorders. The kid's an A regardless, though. Not the a-hole. And I'm sorry your wife is enabling her child to be disrespectful, mean, and a little turd. Your wife is the a-hole here. The stepson does what he's allowed to do. You need to address this with your wife, like now, and she needs to rein in her little devil. It's not cute, and it's not pranks. Unless you and your wife are on the same page, things will only get worse. Perhaps it's time to walk away. Your wife doesn't respect you at all. Your wife is laughing at this BS? Leave. Not the a-hole. However, your wife, her family, and her son are all a-holes. Not the a-hole. You left a situation that was meant to embarrass you. Your stepson is a jerk. Messing with your credit card and your car earned pranks. It's malicious vandalism. And the fact his mom doesn't say anything to him is ridiculous. If he did that stuff to anyone outside the family, he'd get reamed out if not charged with a crime for the stuff with the car. Take your time and have a sit down with your wife and tell her you aren't overreacting. She's enabling her son to be a jerk. Next story is titled, Am I the a-hole for telling my mom I'm never sharing Father's Day again? My parents divorced when I was 2. My mom remarried when I was 5. My older brother and sister and I split time between both homes equally as little kids. It was tough. Our mom would call them both our dads, despite us never calling her husband dad or stepdad. At first, I was going to refer to him as my stepdad, but he was always a domineering prick. Our mom says that's who he is and how he expresses himself, but I don't like being treated like I'm in the army. That's his background. One time, he and my brother had a huge fight because he asked my brother why he left his bed half-made, but he did so in this really strong way, like barking orders at someone. And my brother told him he had no right to talk to him like that, and he wasn't going to answer unless he asked in a better way. My brother got grounded for that because he actually followed through and refused to answer. For me, it was hardest when my half-siblings were born, and my mom would tell me the reason to say I have two dads is because he was their dad. And while I might not love him the same as mine, we had that shared connection now more than ever. But his personality makes him hard to love, honestly. He's intimidating and not someone I ever grew to enjoy having in my life. So when I was 14, 2 years ago, I chose to stay with my dad all the time, and it caused some fights, but never more than now. My mom always insisted on sharing Father's Day between our dad and her husband. She even gave up some of Mother's Day to get it. None of us, me or my siblings, ever wanted it, and neither did our dad. But the judge said seeing as she was willing to share Mother's Day, he ordered it, at least until it was changed when I went to live with my dad. That year we were fighting, so Father's Day wasn't pushed. But last year it was, and this year, yeah. So I told my mom I'm not splitting it anymore, that I'm celebrating with the only father I have, and that's how I will celebrate it going forward. She was so pissed. She told me I was being ungrateful and mean-spirited to a man who loves me as his own, and that all three step-kids doing this is a big middle finger to all step-parents, and how most kids would be grateful for a man like him. I told her that didn't change things for me. She's even trying to get my dad to send me over in the afternoon. Am I the a-hole? Now for the comments. Tell her that the fact that all three step-kids have rejected him shows that he's the common denominator and where the problem lies. Not the a-hole. Yeah, if a few people you meet are a-holes, it's probably a them problem. If everyone you meet is an a-hole, it's probably a you problem. Not the a-hole. People tend to get to treat my kids the way they deserve, but let's dig into this one in more depth. He was always a domineering prick. Our mom says that's who he is and how he expresses himself, but I don't like being treated like I'm in the army. That's his background. We get so many posts on the sub where various family or friends defend a-holes because that's just how they are. No, how they are is an a-hole, and that's not okay. Let's dig in further. Being in the army doesn't make you act like an a-hole, but the service do tend to attract small people who hide behind rank to act big. No one became an a-hole by joining the army. The army is just a friendlier place for a-holes. I was in the Navy, I understand this quite well. Bob Ross was a master sergeant in the Air Force. Proof that your background doesn't define you. This is a big middle finger to all step-parents, and how most kids would be grateful for men like him. Nope, this is a big middle finger to a man who needs to be told so. No kid needs an a-hole in their life, and your siblings said you came to the right conclusion. Frankly, your stepdad sounds like someone who wants to die alone. I would get smacked upside the head as a kid for doing big swipes to clean a counter instead of tiny clockwise circles to clean. Army stepdad would always reprimand us for not cleaning the army way, and even as kids, we were like, dude, we weren't in the army. Not today, Hall. You are 16 now, so old enough to decide who you want to stay with. Not today, Hall. He may love you like his own, but acting like a drill sergeant to his kids is the wrong way to show it. Has driven you and your siblings away, and your mom needs to accept it. Now for the last story. Am I the a-hole for not being interested in being an aunt to and spending money on my brother's stepdaughter that I barely know and barely see? My brother Tyler is divorced, who had a daughter Ella, 7, and a son Noah, 3, with his ex-wife. A few months after separating last year, he got together with Sarah, who has a 5-year-old daughter named Olivia. Tyler has embraced Olivia as his own, which he should, given that Olivia spends about 80% of her time with him, but is starting to get a bit upset that I'm not doing the same. I live interstate for work, and in February used a couple of vacation days and flew 2 hours each way for Ella's birthday party. I plan to do the same for Noah's birthday in September. But Tyler and Sarah are upset. I am not prepared to do that in July for Olivia's 6th birthday. I'm happy to use a couple of vacation days and spend money for my own niece or nephew, but not really for what is really a random child to me. I've only met Olivia twice, and that was at Ella's party. I stayed at my parents' house while in town, and when we all went out for dinner the next night before I went home. Olivia doesn't know who I am. He also got upset I didn't want to buy a big present for Olivia because I bought Christmas presents for Ella and Noah, but not Olivia. I made sure to wait until Olivia had gone to her dad's before giving them to the kids. I have nothing against Olivia. She's an innocent child. I'll obviously be polite to her when she's around, and I give Ella and Noah their presents privately. But at the end of the day, Olivia is not my niece, and I don't feel anything for her. I haven't bonded with her since she was a baby like I did with Ella and Noah, and I've only met her twice in passing. I don't FaceTime her 3 times a week like I do Ella and Noah. She doesn't come with my parents to visit me 3 times a year like Ella and Noah do. Olivia has her own other side of the family like Ella and Noah have me and my parents. And I think that while Tyler signed up to treat Olivia as his own when he made a choice to get into a relationship with Sarah, he didn't sign me and my money up for that. I'm not really a kid person. I love my niece and nephew because they are mine, but just don't feel anything for Olivia because she's basically a stranger to me. I'm not really interested in spending money and using vacation leave in what is basically a random kid to me. Am I the a-hole? Not the a-hole. If Tyler and Sarah split up, there's no reason to see Olivia again. But Ella and Noah will always be your blood. But if the relationship survives, are you seriously saying this is how you are going to keep treating her? And what if they had a kid together? Will you still leave Olivia out? You're the adult. You are going to have to make more of an effort. Not the a-hole for not wanting to use vacation days and spend your money flying interstate to go to the birthday party of a child you barely know. But I do think the way you talk about her like she's an unwelcome addition to the family is kind of horrible. Info. How long has your brother been living with his girlfriend? Since January. He separated from his ex-wife in November. That's it? I'd be the exact same. Wouldn't waste my time being an aunt, and I would never give up my holiday time for them.